What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys all had a great start to your week. Hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft. Excited as ever to be here with you guys. You guys know what it is, man. We're going to have some fun. We're going to talk some fantasy football, so hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button, of course, if you guys are new to the channel. But most importantly, hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping. Any fantasy football topics, redraft, or dynasty. Any NFL topics you guys want to go over. Hit it up in the live chat and let's get to it. We're going to hop into this mock draft tonight at 11:15 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to give this a couple more minutes. I myself am a couple minutes early here, but as posted on Discord, we're starting right at 11:15 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure you guys are ready. So in terms of potential NFL news, we've got some, murmurs of conversation out there, but nothing too crazy over the past day or so. Thank you guys, by the way. I was out of town with my family the past 2 days and everything. So thank you guys for letting me go on a little bit of a hiatus there. That's truly probably my last break for quite some time. So we'll go to the beach as a family at some point for those of you guys who care. But I don't know, we might not do that till the fall. So, or very into summer. So yeah, I'm excited, man. It's time to really grind it out and hit into, both the dynasty and redraft season super strong. So nonetheless, thank you guys, and excited to be back from being off for the past 2 days. So Vikings running back Dalvin Cook was recently in Minnesota for a post-surgery checkup on his shoulder and is said to be making excellent progress per sources. So yeah, he has played with this injury or some sort of shoulder injury, like literally for the last 3 years. So according to reports, this specific surgery has made his shoulder 100% stable and overall much stronger. So what does that mean? I'm not quite sure. I still think Dalvin Cook is probably not going to be with the Vikings next season unless he is cut and then re-signed at a lower contract, kind of like what some people are speculating could happen with Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys. But generally speaking, I think Dalvin Cook will be on another team next year. I still like Cook. I mean, listen, Cook is falling back pretty sharply in mock drafts in terms of ADP right now. I do think he could be a good value. And don't get me wrong, once he, potentially lands to, whatever potential team, and people start to speculate that they like that landing spot, his ADP could shoot very far up. Because don't forget, last season, this was a top 8, top 10 selection going into the fantasy season in redraft formats. So I still think that Cook could actually hold a lot of value this year, especially if he stays at his current ADP. So we'll see what happens there, but it is good news overall for Dalvin Cook. I think, at least. I think. All right. So there is speculation that Cardinals wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins could be released, which is interesting, right? I mean, the biggest issue, I think, in terms of the Cardinals wanting to trade Hopkins and not being able to get a trade done is because they want whatever team they're trading to take on a large portion of his contract, and teams just aren't willing to do that at the moment. So, all right, I kind of said that backwards. Teams are wanting the Cardinals to pay a large sum of his contract, and teams, it's just one side or the other is not biting at the moment. So I kind of got that backwards. I'm sorry, but I don't know. If I remember correctly off the top of my head, this is kind of similar to what happened with Amari Cooper in the Cowboys before he was eventually traded to the Browns. So we'll see what happens there. I still think something could happen on draft night or leading, closer to the draft, but we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to take a pause here, send out one last announcement on Discord that we are starting. And then we'll start the mock draft. I just want to give everyone one fair shot here. Okay, mock draft if I could type, is starting. There we go. I spelled starting wrong. All right. There we go. Okay, so let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to randomize the order for you guys, and then we'll get into it, man. Thank you guys for coming out tonight, man. Oh, 1.12. Mock draft's underway. Let's do it, man. So, let's get into it, man. All right, where were we? Hopkins might get released. We'll see what happens. Hendon Hooker visited with the Saints. There's now speculation that Hendon Hooker will be a first-round selection, a late first-round selection. If the Saints picked him, it'd be a pretty late selection. But I don't know. I do think that like Hooker's going to have to go to a team where he can sit. Like Hooker, it could be a situation where he doesn't see the field for over a year. It could be close to 2 years, just coming off that injury. But I mean, you guys know in our dynasty drafts and everything, I do like Hooker in terms of, I don't think anyone dislikes Hooker in terms of athleticism or upside or anything like that. But he's going to have to go to a team like the Saints or the Raiders, where he can sit behind a Derek Carr or Jimmy Garoppolo. And, with that logic, he could go to a lot of teams, Obviously, there are a lot of teams with a good starting quarterback. So, I don't know. There's speculation about that right now. Hooker being drafted in the first round, which doesn't really surprise me. Year after year, there's some quarterback who starts to shift into the first round conversation. And you can already argue like that's kind of happened with Richardson to some degree. But at this point, Richardson is the greatest quarterback since Jamarcus Russell. So we'll see what happens. But and just in pure, scouting wise, right? Anyways, I think that's interesting. I do think Hooker could be really valuable to the right team. But I don't want to put too much merit into the fact that he visited with the Saints. All these teams are doing a lot of homework on a lot of different players. So, we'll see what happens. And, speaking of that, right, Zay Flowers visited with the Cowboys. I think that'd be a nice fit. Obviously you got Cooks there now. Gallup is still around. I don't know what's happening with Michael Gallup. Any Cowboys fans out there, give us some, some answers there. But, yeah, Zay Flowers visit the Cowboys. I don't know how much merit we want to put into that. Wow. I'm just going to go JT and Eckler here. There's so many good players on the board right now. Obviously, being at the 1.12, I'm not going to draft for a while. Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry's off the board, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker. There are all kinds of good players available. Allen, Mahomes, Hurts. There's no quarterbacks gone yet. Waddle, Higgins. There's so many directions I could go there. But Jonathan Taylor and Austin Eckler just sounds fitting for a redraft format. So we'll do that tonight. Will Levis visited the Raiders, who will also host Anthony Richardson later this week. So could be interesting there. And last but not least, Adam Schefter has reported that the Ravens have made an offer to Odell Beckham Jr., which is interesting, right? So other teams still have time to make offers and everything. Listen, I like Odell. I do, but this would be literally the worst landing spot I could possibly think of for Odell. He's got to go to a team like the Bills where Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis are already there. He's got to go to a team like the Chiefs where there's, at least Kelsey and MVS and Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, other players who can take the pressure off, right? Odell is not going to step in and be the number one receiver. That's why, I was very speculative before he went to the Rams, but once he was on the Rams, I'm like, this is good for Odell, right? Because you got Kupp there and you got other pieces who can alleviate the defensive pressure. Odell going to the Ravens, in my opinion, would be a nightmare. Okay, I don't want to see him go to the Patriots. I don't want to see Hopkins go there either, and I don't want to see Hopkins or Odell go to the Ravens. Sorry, Ravens fans. Sorry, Patriots fans. I hate those two landing spots. Ultimately, definitely from a fantasy football perspective, But even from a real life football perspective, you know, I hated Juju going to the Patriots. I mean, it helps alleviate some of that, but I don't know. I hope other teams make Odell an offer. If he goes to the Ravens, I just think it's not going to be a good potential ending to his career. So we'll see what happens. But maybe it'll make Lamar happy, if that's still going to happen. Okay, let me catch back up with the chat here. Thank you guys so much for spending part of your night here on the channel. Appreciate you guys coming out tonight. Make sure you guys smash that like button for me. And let's get to it, man. Into the third round already. Holy cannoli. Walito, thank you so much for the super chat, man. How are you doing? Appreciate you coming through tonight, hanging out tonight, drafting tonight, all that good stuff. You're actually not in this draft, but you're in the Dynasty draft earlier. So nonetheless, appreciate the super chat. And I appreciate you hanging out tonight, my dude. All right, Carter's in the house. What's going on? Hello, hello. Made for TV's in the building. What's up, my dude? How we doing, man? How are you? Been a little bit since I've seen you. What's going on, man? Taylor, what's going on? How we doing, my guy? Thomas, hello, hello. Carter, how are we feeling about Jerome Ford as a stash? I'm fine with that. Like, I do know, I mean, he's been drafted in not just some of our dynasty drafts, but even some of our really deep redraft mocks. Not our typical redraft mocks. Sometimes we run off-air ones that have, like, 5 or 7 extra rounds. But he has been going in some of our dynasty mocks. I think that's okay right now, because if you look at the depth chart, he is the RB2 for the Browns, and Nick Chubb has a slight injury history and everything. But what I would say is it's very likely with how deep this running back class is that the Browns draft a running back. So I would just be a little bit hesitant around that. But if you can throw Ford on your taxi squad, for example, I'm good at that. Let's see. Dalvin Cook to the Dolphins would be nice. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of speculation throughout the offseason so far that the Dolphins could go for one of those veteran running backs. Derrick Henry was floated around. Obviously, Dalvin Cook has been floated around, but I don't know. They did re-sign Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, so that doesn't give me like a ton of confidence, so to speak. All right, let me make a draft pick or two. Oh, I don't know where I want to go with these picks, but I guess I have to decide. Well, I like DJ Moore a lot. I mean, I guess at some point you got to take Debo off the board. I thought about taking another running back there and just having an RB heavy team, but we'll hold off. I mean, Dalvin Cook still available going into the 4th round. How we kind of started the stream off, right? A lot of good receivers sitting right there as well. I mean, all kinds of guys you could kind of compare to Moore and or Samuel and probably have a legitimate conversation. I also looking at quarterback there, right? I mean, obviously Burrow's right there. And for me, like, kind of the end of the top tier, Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow. So, thought about that too. We'll go double receiver and see what happens the rest of the night. All right, let's see. What's up, Box and the Jack? Hello, hello. Boss man, what's going on? Chase is in the house, coast to coast. How's everyone doing, man? Hope you guys are doing great. Boss man, I like Gallup still, not in fantasy. That is fair. That is fair. I like Gallup too, right? You can like players from a real life football perspective, but yeah, I just don't really know, like, the drop off for Gallup. I guess it's injury related, right? I mean, only 9 games in 2021, 14 in 2022. Has not surpassed more than 445 receiving yards in the last 2 seasons. Had 843 in 2020, 1,100 in 2019. He's still on the roster. Whatever happened to Jalen Tolbert? Did nothing in his rookie season. So, I mean, you got Lamb, you got Cooks. I do think adding a rookie receiver makes a lot of sense for the Cowboys, who really, when you look at this roster, I do think they could add offensive line pieces. I think it's very likely they draft a tight end, and that's no knock on Jake Ferguson and Hendershot. You could definitely see what you have there, but just a deep tight end class. I won't be surprised if they add another running back, even though they've already added Ronald Jones. and obviously Pollard's there, right? But I just think when you look at this defense, well, it does need some help, some areas, right? I would say, I mean, at the end of the day, right, it never hurts to add someone in the secondary at the linebacker position or defensive line position, right? But I think that the defense is super strong. I just feel like the Cowboys are at a point, especially with the Eagles' success last season, the Giants' moderate success, definitely. The Cowboys have to go kind of all out offensively, is how I feel at least. So if they add one or two offensive pieces early in the draft, I won't be surprised at all. I really won't. J-Dubs, what's going on, man? How we doing? Hello, hello. Let's see. Chase says JT and Eckler is pretty nice. I don't feel bad about that at all. I don't. And you guys know I've already talked about this. I don't understand why Eckler is falling in mocks. I don't. I mean, really, when we look at tonight's mock specifically, very RB light in the first round. C-Mac gone at 1.1. Barkley's gone at 1.7. JT falls to 1.12 as well as Eckler as the first selection in the second round. But, I mean, we've seen Bijan go in the first, Walker go in the first, Hall go in the first, Etienne Jacobs, Pollard, Henry all go in the first this offseason. But it does feel like from where we started beginning of the offseason to the point we're at now in the offseason, outside of Kelsey, right, we are seeing heavier RB selections early in the offseason. Now I feel like we're kind of shifting to where I'm seeing more wide receivers go in the first round than running backs on a typical basis. So it's definitely interesting. I do personally feel like by the time June, July rolls around, we'll probably see more of a blend, especially after all these rookies have landing spots and all of that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And generally speaking, our community is a little RB heavy. So it's been interesting to see that shift as well. But ultimately, am I going to knock Chase, Jefferson, Hill, Kupp, Diggs, Brown, Adams, Lamb in the first round? No, I'm not. And you guys know what I always say, right? Just figure out, are you going to structure your team by picking an RB or receiver first, or best available player available? What am I saying? Best available player. Either way, right? Whatever you're going to go with, running back or receiver first. Pick whoever you want and structure your team off that. If you're set on Adams and you can get him, pick him. If you're set on Bijan, you can get him. Pick them while they're there, right? All right. I have to make some draft picks here. So, take T-Law off the board. This is tough. I'm going to go Godwin. A handful of players that I like right there, truthfully. But I'm just going to go with Godwin right now. That was tough. It's just hard when you're at the turn, you know, because like I just know that there are players who might not be there at 7.12, 8.1. So you have to kind of like sometimes make a little bit of a sacrifice. But I'm going to go with an additional receiver here because Debo makes me a little bit queasy, and I really do like DJ Moore, but I don't know. Maybe the people who don't believe in DJ Moore are right. All right. Taylor says real Ravens fans know it's a Bateman season. I'm just a little worried about Bateman. I am. Coming off a major injury. Is Lamar going to be there? I don't know. What's going to happen if Lamar is not there? And don't get me wrong. New offensive coordinators, it's huge. But Bateman season was supposed to be last year, right? I'm just worried. I'm worried about the Ravens right now. I really am. I don't even feel great about Mark Andrews. He falls all the way to 6.2 tonight, albeit that there's only 3 tight ends off the board. Eckler Fade is nice for value. Yeah, I mean, I would say for those of you who draft best ball teams through Underdog, hammer out some Austin Eckler exposure at the current ADP for sure. Mayday's in the house. What's up, my dude? How we doing, man? Chase with a $2 don't know. Thanks, bro. Very kind to you, man. Appreciate that. Walito tried to join this one, but it filled in 2 minutes. Feels like August. All good, though. I enjoy watching the streams, chatting with everybody. Nice, man. I'm glad that you came out. Talk some fantasy tonight, man. Yeah, some nights the mock drafts fill very quickly, but yeah, once it gets to summertime, I mean, seriously, like, you have to stare at your computer screen or phone. And I know some nights, like, it's hard for me to give you guys an exact time. Sometimes what I do is, like, even if I don't know exactly what time I'm streaming at, I will let you guys know on Discord. I'm sending out the mock draft invite at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and then stay tuned for when we are starting, which might not be till 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, things like that. So, and then usually once we get to the summer, I just start switching it up. Like, I might only release it in the YouTube chat to make sure, like, you guys are actually active and show up and everything. Like, I might only send it out to YouTube members. Just sometimes I don't even tell you guys what I'm going to do. Like, I just try to make it as even as possible for everyone. So, but yeah, it does fill quickly sometimes for sure. Thomas says J-Dub's out here sniping. He likes to do that. Thomas was hoping for T-Law. Yeah, I had kind of made a note that I was going to go T-Law late, because when I was sitting there contemplating Burrow at 3.12 or 4.1, I was like, I think I might be able to get T-Law at the next turn. So when I saw he was still available, just went ahead and picked him up, and I feel pretty good about that for sure. Thomas, might as well wait on QB. Yeah, I mean, Herbie sitting there is fine, in my opinion, but if you want to hold off to the next tier or two, I think that's okay too, man. Especially in a redraft format. Like, listen, I do agree, like, if you miss kind of that top tier, which I would say is literally who's been taken tonight, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, T-Law, Fields, and Herbie, like, at that point, I'm just drafting like 2 or 3 quarterbacks at the end of the draft. Like, I'm going to get like Geno, Rodgers, and Goff, or, you know, 2 of those guys, right? And maybe even a Bryce Young or Stroud or Richardson in there too. All right, dang it, I really wanted Isaiah Pacheco here. I literally almost took Pacheco over Chris Godwin. So, but I'll survive. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of good players on the board right now in terms of value. Javonte Williams has really just taken a smack in terms of ADP. All right, I'm going to go A.J. Dillon here. Do need to add another running back to this room. Nah, I'm a little bit torn on what I want to do with this next pick, though. I was pretty positive I was going to go A.J. Dillon, but trying to let that time run down just to think about this next pick. And I think I'm going to be really boring. I'm going to take a tight end. I'm going to take Ingram off the board. I really like Ingram in redraft right now. I just think that the Jaguars are going to have a really good year next year from a fantasy perspective and offensively and everything. I like Pat Freiermuth still on the board. I like Freiermuth more in Dynasty for very obvious reasons. Cole Kmet still available. I probably like Kmet and Freiermuth, more in Dynasty. I still like Ingram if you play in tight end premium, but you just have to balance it out with a youthful tight end as well. So, but in redraft sitting here, even with guys like Darren Waller and Dalton Schultz available, I just feel really good about Evan Ingram going into next year. So, once again, that selection goes back to the fact that we're picking at the 1.12 turn. So, you know, I could take the risk and not go Ingram there, but I just don't know if he's going to be available at 9.12. So, we'll see. I would expect to run a tight end at some point pretty soon. being that we only have, I mean, less than half the teams right now. Well, no, that's not true, but just about half. No, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so just about half the teams have a tight end. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, literally, if I don't go Ingram there, I had to pick a receiver, in my opinion, being that we just got Dylan. And I'm just sitting here like, Dotson was a pretty nice pick at 8.2 for Taylor. I did actually consider him, but Dotson, Cooks, Michael Thomas go. And then looking at who's available, Cortland Sutton, Juju, Gabe Davis, Thielen, Mooney, Bateman, Kadarius Toney. Like, that's your next top tier. And I just think holding off, I can still land pretty good value. But looking at the squad so far, I feel okay about tight end and quarterback for the night. I could draft a second tight end if I really wanted to, but ultimately with 3 running backs so far, 3 receivers, we're just trying to add more depth at running back and receiver. But I feel okay about this core roster so far. All right, Chase, I don't know what to think of Tampa this year. I mean, I don't quite know as well. Offensive line is pretty good. They can stay healthy. I think the offensive line will be good. I mean, hey, you still got Evans. You still got Godwin. Russell Gage is still there. I think Cade Otton, as long as he's utilized correctly, is going to be a good young tight end. Is he going to do what Gronk did? No. But I do think if Otton is just utilized correctly, he will be good, right? So obviously Baker's at quarterback right now. Going back to tight end, Baker dumped the ball off a ton to Tyler Higbee in those last couple games with the Rams. I really think that Baker and Otton could do something together. But I think the offense could be okay. I really do. It just depends on what level of play Baker brings. And then it depends, like, what do the Bucs want to do outside of Baker Mayfield at quarterback? There's rumors about Lamar. I don't think that's going to happen, but do they add someone in the draft? I mean, Kyle Trask is still around. I don't know. Are they waiting to see if they can get a quarterback the next year or two? I mean, hey, the Bucs gave up a lot of capital to get Tom Brady and to build a super team, and it paid off, right? I mean, it's just like the Rams. Like, I think the Rams' ceiling is kind of gone, unfortunately. We'll see what happens. At the moment, Cup, staph infection, and Donald are still there, and we'll see what happens. But Ramsey's gone, which is the first domino, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see what happens with the Bucs. The defense is still pretty decent as well, especially, I mean, they were good against the run last year, of course. So we'll see what happens. All right, so Njoku, Waller, Kmet gone. So that's what I was worried about, is a tight end run starting and me missing out on Kmet or Ingram. Freiermuth is still available, so ultimately, like, I don't know. I could have gone Kamara just to get some stupid upside that maybe doesn't pay off. Could have gone Dotson there. Even like Michael Thomas, Kadarius Toney, Darnell Mooney. Quentin Johnston's gone. So I don't know. I'm not going to beat myself up for going Ingram. I don't know. Chase, how do you feel about the Bucs going into next season? Even though you said you don't know. Okay, by the way, guys, I'm sorry. My face was covering half the draft board. Not really half, but part of it. My bad. Yeah, I mean, Pat Freiermuth is still sitting here, so maybe I do beat myself up just a little bit. Love my boy Freiermuth next year. I'm going to pick Zeke only because it's redraft. If he goes to the right team, I'm not against drafting Zeke as your RB4. I'm just not against it. Man, but I do need... I'm pretty light at receiver. But I'm going to take Kenneth Gainwell off the board. I mean, that does it at running back. It's an RB-heavy squad. JT, Eckler, Dillon, Zeke, and Gainwell. I would be perfectly okay with that running back room in a redraft format going into next season. That's the strong suit of this team. Happens that way sometimes. So now, with the last 4 rounds, I just literally have to pick the best available receivers and hopefully gain some upside. Like, once again, just looking at the top tier, it hasn't really changed much since we last talked. I mean, it's changed a little bit, but Juju, Thielen, Bateman, Allen Robinson, Hunter Renfrow, Jacoby Myers, DPJ, Tyler Boyd, Odell, like, those are your top players on the board. So, do I feel great about any of those guys? No. Let's load up at running back right now. And I do think that there's always going to be late round value at the wide receiver position. Like, just scrolling down a little bit, I see a lot of names that I would be perfectly fine with. So, all right, let me get back to the chat here. How do you feel about the 1.6 trade in Dynasty League 2? Yeah, so essentially, Michael, you kind of trade up into that tier of elite quarterbacks, right? So you go from, I just want to make sure I have this right here. So Shane was at the 1.8, right? Because when I look at, or was it backwards? When I actually view it, it doesn't tell me your guys' exact picks, but hold on. If I go to the draft room, it should show me. So, gosh, I hate the way that Sleeper displays it. Okay, so Shane gets the 1.6, and you get the 1.8, right? So essentially, you get an extra draft pick for moving back 2 spots in the 7th round. As long as you feel like you can still land a quarterback at the 1.8 that you like, I don't think it's too bad of a trade for you, of course. But it just depends. Like, I'd rather have the 1.6 personally because there's a strong likelihood that Trevor Lawrence is available there. And I really like Trevor Lawrence right now. At the 1.8, you kind of get into that position where it's interesting at quarterback because Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Burrow are definitely gone. Lawrence and Herbert are gone. There's a small chance that Fields slides. Extremely small. I don't think it'll happen. I think Fields is gone too. So then you're in a position like, do I draft Lamar Jackson? Do I draft Bijan Robinson? Like, it's just, I don't know, 1.8. Who are you going to select at the 1.8? The one extra selection is nice in a startup mock, right? If it was a, and if it was a rookie mock, the equivalent's probably a 4th rounder, which doesn't hold a ton of merit, but that's, I don't know, that's besides the point, I guess. So, who do you think you can land there? As long as you feel good about it, I'm not going to be too torn up. Michael traded back, of course. So I got that whole thing wrong. If you pull it up on Sleeper, it just displays in really odd fashion. Okay. In that case, I really like the trade. I do. I really, really like the trade. All right, give me Juju. Give me Zay Jones. We need some help at receiver. Let's do it. Yes. Okay. Had a feeling I may have got it wrong. Yeah, it happened last year when we had trades in the Catch Fam tournament. The way it displays on the draft board is like super confusing. Then, yeah, when I go to the trade, it doesn't tell me exactly what selections you guys traded. So, yes. For just giving up a 7th rounder, I do like that pick a lot. I really do. Prey, what's up, dude? How are you? Walito says the Javonte disrespect needs to stop. Yeah, I'm not, like, big on Javonte, but I'm definitely surprised at how far back he's dropped in ADP just because a lot of people still believe in him. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Kat says the same thing. I'm not a big Javonte guy, but geez. Albert, what's up, man? Hello. Phase 10 foils in the house. What's up, dude? How you doing, man? I need the season. Yeah, I feel you, bro. I can't wait for, I just can't wait. I mean, luckily we're getting more into dynasty this season, so like it feels much closer. But I just can't wait for like fantasy to really begin and everything. So it's good to see you, man. Hope you've been doing great. Always good to have you in the house. Hope you're doing well, my guy. I feel like Purine should be going higher, seeing that he's probably the starter with Javonte coming off injury. It's a good point. It's a good point. But hey, take up that value while you can. I mean, I think realistically what's happening is you still have to look at Purine kind of like in a situation like Gibson where he's still, you see them go back to back right there where he's still, at the end of the day, in a committee. So until things kind of clear up and maybe we get more of an exact date on Javonte and we see if the Broncos draft a running back or not, you could see Purine's ADP stay about the same, or you could see it move up a little too. Michael, Lamar would be the pick if all the QBs go straight down the line. Yeah, I think they're going to. I really do. But yeah, 1.8 is when things start to get a little murky. I mean, I think it's perfectly okay to take Lamar there. I just think everyone agrees, most people agree that Lamar going into next season immediately is a question mark at this moment. That could change tomorrow, could change next week, could change after the draft. Who knows? Who knows? Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson. Drama continues. But yeah, Michael, who are you aiming for at the 1.6? Is a Leonard Fournette decline real? Yes. Listen, I mean, similar to Ezekiel Elliott, right, who like I took tonight at 9.12, like Fournette goes to the right team. Could he have some value? Absolutely. Absolutely. Would it surprise me? No, not at all. But, yeah, there's decline there for sure. As your RB5, like we see tonight on your squad, in a redraft format, it's probably fine. But we got to see what happens. A lot of teams are waiting until after the draft, until they go after, some of these veterans. But they'll get picked up, and they'll have roles next year. We've got to see what teams they land on. All right, so give me Josh Palmer, give me Robinson. Hey, I think we cleaned up pretty nicely at receiver and at the mock. All things considered. Gosh, Michael, why can't I get your trade right? Okay. So Michael traded back to the 1.8 and gains the extra 7th round pick. Jesus Christ. Going for Lamar at 1.8. Okay, I'm good at that. Yeah, if you feel good about it, man, I'm good at that. I'm good with that. I mean, let's just thinking about who went in the 7th round, right? Looking at the last Dynasty mock we ran. In order, Russell Wilson, Calvin Ridley, Flowers, Hollywood, Rashad White, Hopkins, Jordan Addison, Cooper, Geno Smith, Dotson, Cook, Will Levis. So if you're happy getting Lamar at 1.8, which you actually did in tonight's mock draft that we ran earlier off air, and adding, so you got Amari Cooper in the 7th round. So you traded with the 1.6. It was actually me in the mock tonight. Took Hopkins there. But Hopkins, Addison, Dotson, Cook, Geno, Will Levis, even Swift, Jordan Love, Trey Lance going to the 8th round. McLaurin, Lockett, Ayuk, Goddard, Mooney, Akers, Rogers, Sanders, Mike Williams. All available. So when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, that's a good trade for you. As long as, like you said, you're happy with Lamar at 1.8 over T-Law or Herbert. So, yeah, I think it's still a good trade for you, man. Sorry that I am an idiot. Shopkey, I'm curious about Jamal Williams if Kamara gets suspended. Yeah, I think Jamal is in a good situation. Regardless of if Kamara gets suspended or not, I do think he'll be utilized. But he's going to regress from what we saw last year. But I think he'll still have a decent year by all means. Yeah. Tim Patrick finally getting some love. I saw that, man. Tim Patrick at 13.2. Yeah, Timmy P was my guy last offseason until he got hurt. I still like Patrick. But usually when a player's coming off an injury like that, I'm a little hesitant. J-Dubs, I'm a trade Lance Truther at this value. That's your guy, man. What'd you get him at tonight? 14.5 behind 2-1 Rodgers and redraft is definitely nice, man. All right, let's see. All right, you guys already asked me to go over teams. Let's just do it, man. Let's do it. Box and the Jack up first. Mahomes and Hawkinson, beautiful. Yeah, say no more. Adam St. Brown, nice start. Cooper Bateman, DPJ, Gallup. Yep, pretty good value here throughout the draft. Akers, Pacheco, Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt, Cook, and Acne. I mean, yeah. Nothing like jumps out crazy on paper here. But ultimately, this is a pretty good team. Second flex spot's slightly murky. But I mean, Mahomes, Hawkinson, Adams, St. Brown, Akers, Pacheco, Cooper in your first flex. I feel pretty good about that. Now, I love Pacheco. Andy Reid offenses are weird. Something could change, but he looked like he established that RB1 role for sure. Akers was a top 4 running back the last couple weeks of fantasy. I certainly hope that carries over in the next season, but you could have a little bit of a question mark with those two guys as their starters if we're playing devil's advocate. And you'd have to figure out who's going to be the most consistent player for you to plug in as your second flex. I would argue it's DPJ, but Cook could be interesting as well. So I'd be a little queasy having Cooper and DPJ in my starting lineup. But, you know, I mean, just on weeks where the Browns play poorly and everything. But, yeah. I think it's a pretty good team. How do you feel about it, man? All right. Taylor says QB and early. Sacrifice some high-end talent wide receiver and running back. All right. Hurts. Mandrews, backed him up with Watson and Gesicki. Is it bad that I just do not like Mike Gesicki at all next year? I just don't. I mean, you still have Hunter Henry there. I just feel like Bill Belichick is notorious for signing free agent tight ends and just letting them wither away. I don't know. Who knows? Sorry, my phone's going off. All right, receivers. CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, Burks, Dotson, Flowers, Elijah Moore. Yeah, I like that. Henry, Sanders, Mitchell, and Izzy. A little light at running back, like you said. Sacrifice a little bit of running back value. So, I mean, I might throw a dart at somebody. Jeff Wilson, Michael Carter available, for example, in the 14th. I'd probably go with them over Gesicki, but I'm not against drafting a second tight end with Andrews, but I think it's a pretty well-built team. I mean, you're starting Hurts, Andrews, Henry, Sanders, Lamb, Allen, probably flexing Burks and Dotson or Dotson and Flowers. You got Elijah Moore, see how that situation works out. I think Izzy's going to be a great running back as well. I do think Mitchell's worth taking in the 10th round, too, in terms of committee backs. So, yeah. I think you definitely figure it out at that second flex spot, but I mean, if Burks and Dotson both take a step forward in their sophomore years, could be really nice. A little crazy about Andrews right now. I'm not going to lie. But in the 6th round, good value for sure. All right, Coast to Coast, what we do tonight, man? Prescott and Jones, the NFC East special. They're on sale, unlike Hurts. Sam Howell is like discount clearance bin. Goddard and Dolchich, very nice. I mean, I like the quarterback and tight end room here a lot. Hill, Ridley, Williams, Tony, Hyatt, Hardman, a lot of upside, man. A lot of risk. Inconsistencies here. But I think Hyatt is an upside rookie as well. But, hey, I still like this receiver room. Hall, Harris, Mixon, Pirine. Little light at running back, but you can do that going into redraft season. You absolutely can. Just come out with 4 running backs, play the waiver. You see it year after year. You can always trade if you need to. But I mean, look at some of the starting running backs at the end of the last season. I mean, guys you would have never guessed were out there. So I'm okay with that. You're starting, let's say, Prescott and Goddard. Might be Danny Dimes. Hall and Harris, Hill and Ridley, flexing Mike Williams. And then your second flex, I mean, you got Joe Mixon, Tony, Pirine, even Hyatt if he lands the right spot. Hartman's interesting too. I mean, Dolchich. So I like this team a lot. Yeah. I think you got good depth here. You got a good core roster. I'm good with this team, man. How do you feel about it? Mark, go at the 1.9. I feel like my draft was weird, but that's how it usually ends up when I draft Kelsey. I mean, I feel that, bro. I feel like anytime I draft Kelsey, I feel odd. For sure. For sure. But I think, like, over the last 2 years, I feel like in most of my leagues, the teams that made it to the semifinals or championship game had Kelsey on their squad. Lamar and Kelsey, you're probably good there. I mean, Lamar is whatever you're going to speculate at this point. In mock drafts, at this point in the offseason, he's a great value in the 7th round. But who knows what's going to happen. Wilson, Hollywood, Ayuk, Quentin Johnston, Myers, Beckham, Osborne, Shaheed. I mean, great receiver room. Aaron Jones, Cook. Could be really good values right there. Both were first rounders last year. In a majority of leagues, at least. Jamal Williams, a nice piece in the 8th. And I think Jeff Wilson is a good piece in the 14th. We got to really pay attention to this Dolphins backfield because, listen, it's such a deep running back class. I know I sound like a broken record because I keep saying this about so many teams. I will not be surprised if the running back, or if the Dolphins draft a running back, excuse me. But if they don't add like a Dalvin Cook, which has been speculated, Joe Mixon, Henry, whoever, I don't know, man. Like, I really think that Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert are just going to reprise their roles from last year. They both got like 2-year deals. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. They could draft a running back early. They go for a guy like Charbonnet or Gibbs, whatever. They could draft a running back late to get a McBride or Izzy or Hool or whoever, right? Andre Miller. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just, the point I'm making in redraft formats, I think that Wilson and Mostert could be really good values right now. All right, pretty receiver-heavy team. Anyways, we got Lamar and Kelsey, Jones and Cook, Garrett Wilson, Hollywood Brown, Ayuk as your core roster. Then your second flex, I mean, you got Jamal, Quentin Johnston, Myers, Beckham, Osborne, Shaheed, and Jeff Wilson to pick from. So as long as the Lamar situation works out for you, I actually quite like this team. I know you said it felt a little weird for you, but I like this team. I mean, I would have maybe considered another running back, but ultimately, I think it's a good team. I mean, you're in a good position where your core roster's pretty much set to start the year. You're going to have things pop up. You're going to play the waivers and everything. But and then you have a large pool to figure out that second flex spot. So, yeah. JW, what's up, dude? How are you? Late round quarterback approach tonight. Light receiver approach, especially by your standards. But Tua, Rogers, Lance. I mean, that works. Komet and Freiermuth I really like. I saw that you did that. I love that tight end room. Brown, Waddle, Watson, London. Like, you'd probably be just fine here. I mean, maybe it made sense for you to load up at running back. When you pick Komet and Freiermuth back to back, like, they may have been the most valuable players available, honestly. And I mean, you're not going to pass on your boy Trey Lance in the 14th, and Tua's injury concerns. Rodgers is aging. Like, listen, I still like to see at least one more receiver in a double flex league, but it kind of makes sense the directions you went. So yeah, Gibbs, Pierce, Charbonnet, Herbert, Tucker. That's an interesting running back room. But like Gibbs and Charbonnet hold all the upside in the world. In terms of rookie running backs, the right landing spots here. Pierce and Herbert are pretty good values. Tucker is, just added to the depth there. Weird build tonight, I'm not going to lie, but I don't think it's a bad build. All right, let's say you're starting Tua, Komet, Brown, Waddle. Let's say Charbonnet and Pierce for fun, but realistically, it could be a combination of any of those running backs. Then you're flexing Watson in London. Like, it's a well-built team coming out of the draft. You play the waiver at receiver, and you'd probably be in a pretty good position. I don't know. I like this team. It's an interesting team, but I like it. All right, catch at the 1.5. We got Fields. Love it. And Njoku and Johnson, good values for late-round tight ends. Cup, Olave, J-Mo, Sky Moore, Downs, and Mechie. Good receiver room. It's a little dynasty-friendly, but that's okay. Walker, Monty, Algier, Javonte, Warren. Yeah, good running back room tonight, too. Yeah. Fields and Njoku. Walker and Monty, Cup and Olave. Probably flexing J-Mo and Algier. Maybe Algier and Javonte down the road. Maybe Josh Downs. I like Josh Downs a lot. Maybe if he goes to the right team, I think he's going to be really good. So, yeah, you're in a good position. Core roster looks good. You've got a couple options in the second flex. And definitely good players on the bench, too. So, yeah. I feel good about that team. Boss Man. I'm never going to stop calling you Boss Man, by the way. It's always, I'm not going back to Ignatius. I guess I could switch to Pennyfeather. All right, we got Kyler and Russ. I like that, all right. I mean, once Kyler's back, and I think he's going to take all the time in the world he needs. No reason to rush him. I still believe in Kyler. It's got to help that dangerous. Does enough for you, right? Kyle Pitts, Michael Mayer, I'm good at that. C-Mac, Jacob Swift. Whew. Madison, I like this running back room. Devonta, Tyler Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Addison, Mooney, Rondo Moore. I mean, good receiver value throughout the draft. I like the conviction in Tyler Lockett. I really do. All right, so starting Russ, Pitts, C-Mac, Jacob, Smith, Lockett, Swift in the flex. Then you got a good pool to pull from. No pun intended. In terms of your second flex, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, Alexander Madison, and Rondo Moore. And even Michael Mayer, technically speaking. So I think it's a really good team, actually. Doesn't necessarily jump out like crazy on paper, you know. But I think all around it's a well-built team. Now, if Russell Wilson struggles again, you're going to have to figure it out at quarterback until Kyler's back. And even then, you still might have to figure it out. But you can do that easily, right? I mean, look at last year. Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, Geno Smith, T-Law, Justin Fields. Like, there's so many options off the waiver wire, you know. So, yeah, man. I like this team. How do you feel about it? Taylor Gang, what do we think at the 1.6? Couldn't pass up the Diggs Allen stack, but may have hurt the second flex. Let's see. What's up, Taylor Gang? Good to see you, bro. Allen and Cousins, you're good there. Waller and Kincaid could definitely work out. Waller still makes me a little queasy, but he's okay. Diggs, Judy, Pittman, can't guard Mike and DJ Chark. Something about this receiver room makes me slightly queasy. Just a little queasy. Who's going to be throwing Pittman the ball? Where's Judy going to play next year? Can he stay healthy? Can't guard Mike, self-explanatory. Chark, who's going to be throwing him the ball? Diggs is good. Bijan, James Conner, Rashad White, Spears, and Miller. Good running back room, especially if Spears and Miller go to the right team. I mean, good value throughout the draft. I mean, you got Bijan, so I think Conner and White fill in as your RB2 easily. Then Spears and Miller at the right team could be really good too. So ultimately, starting Allen and Waller, Diggs and Judy, Bijan and Conner, and probably flexing Pittman and Rashad White. Leaves you with can't guard Mike, Spears, Chark, Miller, Kincaid, Cousins on the bench. Still a really good team. Yeah. Core rosters looks good. So I like this team. Yeah. Michael, you're banned from team reviews. Just kidding, love you, bro. All right, Herbert, Goff, beautiful. Kittle, I'm good at that. Usually, if you draft Kittle, I do recommend Throw someone in at the end of your draft. Dolchich, Juwan Johnson, Hayden Hurst. Just some of them. Because Kittle gets hurt a lot. Etienne, Kamara, Gibson, Mostert, Foreman. That's intriguing. J.J. Metcalf, Hopkins, McLaurin, Sutton, Boyd is really nice. Yeah. Man, Cortland Sutton is just such a question mark. He might even get traded. I don't know. Sutton was actually... Listen, the ceiling was super low. But he was pretty consistent last year in full PPR. Now, he had this stretch which sucked pretty massively. But you take away that stretch of 3 games. Double digits in all these games. Once again, ceiling's not high. Double digits in these games. Missed a few games. Double digits in all but one to end season. Well, 2 out of 3. So, listen, that is consistent at the end of the day. Just, missed these 3 games and had a 3-game stretch that sucked. So, that's 6 games where, ultimately 7 games where he didn't give you double digits. So, including the games he was hurt. So, I don't know. All right, we're starting Herbie and Kittle, JJ and Metcalf, ETN, and I'm going to say Gibson. Would be nice if it's Kamara, though. You're flexing Hopkins and McLaurin. So, yeah, I do really like this team because that's going to leave you with Kamara, Sutton, Mostert, Boyd, Foreman, and Goff on the bench. Yeah, that's probably my favorite team of the night, to be honest. And, of course, it's Michael, who's my arch nemesis right now. Just kidding. Dude, I just quit announcing how many times you pick players I want in the off-air mocks. It's just like, there are a couple players tonight, though, outside of Kirk. I was like, dang it. I think Lockett was in there. All right, but I'm just kidding, Michael. You're my guy. All right. It's just fun. It's, we got to have a theme to the offseason. Right now it's Michael sniping me. Okay, Tommy, what's up, man? How are you? We got Gino. You got your guy. We got Schultz. Good value on Gino and Schultz. Chase, JSN, Pickens, Lazard. I like that start a lot, man. Hodgins, Patrick, and Shakir. Good late round picks. Pollard, Stevenson, Dobbins, Penny, Fournette. Yeah, this is a good team, man. Purely from a redraft format. That's a good team. Starting Gino and Schultz. Starting Chase and I'm going to say JSN. Starting Pollard and Stevenson, flexing Pickens and Lazard. You still got Dobbins, Penny, Hodgins, Fournette, Patrick, and Shakir on the bench. So, there's a lot of debate you could have at the end of drafts about guys like Hodgins and Fournette and Patrick and Shakir and who's on the board, who's going to be better. But ultimately, I do think it's best to follow your conviction in those later rounds. And, yeah, I'm okay with these guys here. So, Tommy, I think it's a good team tonight, man. Yeah, I like that squad. Emil, what's up, my dude? All right, we got Burrow, Knox, and Hurst. I like that. Good late round tight end value. I think Knox is a good value where he's going right now in both redraft and dynasty. Disappointing year, but I think he's a good value. Barkley, Chubb, Brian Robinson, Singletary, Carter. Good running back room. Higgins, Kirk, Evans, Cooks, Davis, Thielen. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. This team's pretty veteran heavy. Outside of Robinson, like your next youngest player, not including Burrows, Knox. Well, I guess Higgins. Kirk is decent. No, Kirk's older than you think. But, I mean, we're in redraft, so it doesn't really matter. But risk of injury maybe potentially is a tad bit higher. But I think it's a good team. I think he got good value throughout this draft, man. Burrow, Knox, Barkley, Chubb, Higgins, Kirk. Great core roster, in my opinion. Then when we're looking to the flex, like for both spots, you got Evans, Cooks, Davis, Thielen, Singletary, Hurst, Carter. I really think between that pool of players, trades, and the waiver wire, this could be a really good team. That's pretty close. Emil and Michael at the top for me tonight, I think. Taylor, I didn't like Gesicki until I saw the news about him that they're putting in specific packages for him. Well, that's good news. Right, like I said, new offensive coordinator could change a lot of things. Marco, every time I draft Kelsey in the first round, all the good tight ends end up slipping. Right? Thomas says, feel like all my running backs are injury prone. Yeah, but I think at the end of the day, man, it's just the nature of the position. Like, you could probably say that about arguably every team on the board tonight. Like, you know, it just is what it is, right? But I get what you're saying. Pollard, Dobbins, Penny. Yeah, that's fair. Jada's pretty hype about my team. Little wide receiver light, but I can play waivers for sure. Yeah, I do like your team a lot, J-Dubs. Like, I was just thinking when I just talked about Michael and Emil's teams, I do really like your team. It's just a different type of build, but I like it for sure. I like Bossman. That's fair. I'll stick to Bossman. Taylor Gang, not my best. I usually avoid Pittman. That's fair. I don't dislike your team, though. I think you got a good core roster, and you know, I think that second flex spot you'd be able to figure out. And I mean, like, Allen Waller, if he stays healthy, excuse me. Bijan, Connor, Diggs, Judy Pittman, and Rashad White is pretty nice. Especially if Thomas is actually healthy. So, yeah, I don't think it's too bad. Yeah, Michael, my nemesis of the offseason. Thomas, I like the Chase JSN combo if he goes to the right team. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Pickens and Lazard there. I like your team pretty well as well tonight, Tommy. I do. Taylor, Michael, the drafted night for me. Tommy, close second, but everyone drafted well as always. Good calls. Yeah, lots of good teams tonight for sure. Herbert fade is crazy. Recency biasy, man. People can't get over the slip from QB2 to QB11. Just happens. It just happens. I mean, Herbert was going into last year. I still had Mahomes and Allen in front of him, but he was easily my QB3. And I made the argument, like, during the offseason, he could be finished as QB1, you know. Luckily, I had Hurts and Burrow very high going into the last season as well. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I want to see how this draft goes for the Chargers. But yeah, I still like. I'm a little bullish on T-Law, and I love Fields. I still like Herbert right there, though. I really do. Okay, what did I do tonight? Tonight was a weird draft for me. It really was. But I feel like okay about this team. So. T-Law and Ingram, give me the stack, baby. I don't know why, because I do like Ingram. I've been saying this in a lot of recent mocks. I do feel like if you go Ingram, it might be a good idea to get a late rounder like a Dolchich or Juwan Johnson or Hayden Hurst. I don't know why. I didn't do it tonight, though. So I'm okay with that in redraft. T-Law and Ingram. JT, Eckler, Dillon, Zeke, Gainwell. I'm okay with that. DJ Moore, Debo, Godwin is fine, but was a little bit questionable if we didn't clean up at the end. But I think Juju, Zay Jones, Palmer, and Randall Robinson give us a pretty solid shot. Yeah. So I'll be starting T-Law and Ingram, JT and Eckler, DJ Moore and Debo. And then honestly, like when I'm looking at those two flex spots, I mean Godwin, AJ Dillon, Zeke, Gainwell, Juju, Zay Jones, Palmer, and Randall Robinson. Like I definitely have a shot to fill two flex spots, work the waivers, and work some trades. So I quite like this team. I do. All right, guys. So that does it for the night. Got all of our team reviews in. Got the mock draft finished. So let's go. Let's go. Chargers' whole offense catching the fade because there's so much hype last offseason. For sure. Hurts had good draft capital last year. Yeah, for sure. I just begged you. Like, that was like my first call of the offseason. I was like, I love Jalen Hurts. I'll never forget it. And then just all offseason. Like that, I'm talking like the week after the Super Bowl when we started mocking. Like, all offseason, all I watched was Jalen Hurts' ADP just rise. And I'm glad it did. Don't get me wrong. But, man. Thomas, there's nothing wrong with Ingram. I was about to grab him if you didn't. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not saying that because I don't believe in Ingram. I'm a little bit worried about potential injury risk. I don't know why. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe it's because I just really like Evan Ingram. I'm second guessing myself. I don't know. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. Thank you guys to those of you who drafted with me. I do have to wind up. Unfortunately, it's getting a little bit late. I got to be up a little early tomorrow. So, yeah, man. It was a blast to hop on tonight. We had a very active stream tonight. A lot of you guys coming through. So, thank you guys so much, man. And, yeah, that'll just wrap it on up. So, make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. If you guys are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me. And make sure you guys check out the links down below. Join our Discord. Follow us on Instagram. All that good stuff. So, yeah, man. Appreciate you guys. Really do. Taylor Gang, Thomas, J-Dubs, Taylor, Michael, Bossman, Marco, Emil, Cats, Coast to Coast, Boxing the Jack, Shopkey, Face Tinfoil, my boy, Prey, Chase, thank you for the super chat tonight. Walito, thank you for the super chat tonight. Carter J, Made for TV, and everyone else who stopped by, everyone else who listened in. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, spending part of your night here at the channel. We will be back tomorrow with some sort of mock draft. I'll get it figured out. I'll let you guys know on Discord. So, thank you guys. Thank you guys for continuously supporting the channel throughout the off season. And I'm glad to see you guys very active on Discord, reviewing each other's rosters, as well as just actively starting up mock drafts amongst yourselves. So thank you guys for just being a great community and being super interactive with each other. And yeah, man, appreciate you guys so much. I really do. Will Lord Bighead be on tomorrow? I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm going to guess no. I don't think I'm going to be able to stream early tomorrow. So I know he has a lot going on with work. So I'm going to guess no, but don't quote me. We'll see what happens. Thank you for asking, Albert. I'm sure Steven appreciates that, and I appreciate that. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, smash the like, hit the subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll talk to you guys soon. Let me know if you guys need anything on Discord or Instagram. And that'll do it for tonight. So, love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the catch, fam. With that, I will say, thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And